Welcome back, everybody. Israel just took down Belgium, and they're looking in better position now for potentially moving on to that last 16. Now we move on to Group C, and it's going to be Korea versus Netherlands. My name's Dan Gaskin, and I have Lorinda with me, my good friend, my pal, my buddy.
Ever won 15 games in a row, Gaskin? Or at all?
I don't know. Have anyone? Has anyone?
Yeah, we were talking about it last match. You know full well we were talking about. You came and bullied us after I said it. So.
Well, let's have a look at Group C and see where it stands at the moment, see what I did there. Netherlands and South Korea are both at 1-0. Argentina and Philippines at 0-1. So really important matchup for Korea and Netherlands. Similarly to what we had earlier in Group A as well. There is a possibility for these teams put themselves at 2-0, and then if results go their way when Argentina and Philippines play against each other, they may be able to confirm their qualification. Let's have a look at the rosters for both of the teams as well. Neil, talk me through both of these.
Yeah, Ty's, Tyler, Theo, Mitsuhide, who just won Seat Story. Ty's won lots of things last year, European Championship, stuff like that. Tyler going to win something big. Theo, a little bit below the standard of that lot, but that's just the accepted situation. It's Nick Chipper syndrome. And South Korea, Kranich, Handsome Guy, Flurry, and Daoni. And those guys have got a wealth of experience between them, including several World Championship appearances.
They certainly do, and you're completely right. Seat Story was great for this Netherlands side. And the Netherlands, Neil, did you know?
I usually don't know these
They
things.
introduced orange carrots to the world.
Is that where you came from?
Potentially, maybe. Yeah.
What colour were carrots before that, then?
Yellow to purple, actually.
Really?
I made sure I looked that one up as well.
I thought you might have done.
Korea, however, did you know that in South Korea, usually, I think actually always, when you're born, you are born as 1 year old. You're not 0.
How
you
does
are
that
1.
work?
That's just how they do it.
Doesn't that hurt?
And then I think with New Year's Day, they turn 2. And then on the next birthday, they turn 3. So usually modern society, compared with like South Korean society, they would actually be older than they would be if they were here.
Wow. That's bad news for me.
Yeah, really bad news if you're from South
Really
Korea.
awkward.
Let's take a look at the matchup and see what classes have been brought by both of these sides, see if there's any patterns that we can start to see to develop. Of course, if you haven't watched Global Games, where have you been? But it is a best of 5, all 9 classes are brought, and if it goes to 2-2, then we will go to an ace match.
So if you bury the Warlock, Kranich is left with Rogue and Shaman here, which is pretty weak against Mage in general. Not nice at all. And Ty's, who's playing Mage and Shaman together, because he's going to have to play 2 strong classes, because he's playing Warlock in the ace match, he's got the Mage. So I'd be amazed if Ty's doesn't queue the Mage here into that matchup, because it's just good against both of them, which is a bit of a hole in the lineup there for Korea.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. We'll see what he is bringing.
Major problem.
It is going to be the Mage. I like that bringing a deck with Shaman is always great, because Evolved Shaman is just a good all-round deck. And if you pair anything with it, then you can target it a little bit better when you're looking at your matchups. But Mage versus the Rogue, then.
Exactly, and this is the situation that they've put themselves into by pairing the Shaman with the Rogue, is if you run into the Mage, you're going to be in a spot. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what Rogue they've gone with here.
Yeah, the Rogue, as we said, in Europe it seems to be Quest Rogue is a favoured one, but in the rest of the world we're seeing a lot more Miracle, although today it has just been entirely that Quest Rogue. Quest Rogue versus what? A Discover Mage, Freeze Mage, that remains to be seen, but either way it's going to be piloted well by both players, both Us and Kranich. Absolutely phenomenal, and I think any of us would be proud to have the set of skills that they do have in Hearthstone.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't mind having half of the skills of either of those two players. It would go down rather handily. But yeah, Rogue, the selection against Mage, that's how much of trouble they thought Shaman was going to be in. And honestly, it's just going to work out badly for them a lot of the time. It is the Quest Rogue, but basic strategy here for the Mage is don't die and then just fire a load of stuff at face. It's that simple.
You make it sound pretty simple, Neil, but it's true. It's doable, that's for sure, and it's going to come down to the mulligan for Kranich as well. What does he want to get rid of? I mean, Igneous Elemental is always tempting to keep because it is a fantastic way of completing the quest.
There's not much to run it into against Mage, but it's still, like you say, I mean, it has to be dealt with eventually. A lot of people just ignore it, and sometimes that can be an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah, just as we saw Zixo do at DreamHack. Just putting stuff on the board, putting damage to face, not complete the quest. That is why Backstab is sometimes in the deck as well for South Korea, not for South Korea, but just in general for Quest Rogues. So potentially we might see a Backstab come out.
Ty's looking for the early board control there, despite the fact he had Frostbolt, double Fireball, which is the face damage he was looking for. Actually just wanting to get stuff onto the board to make sure that he doesn't get overrun early on here.
So Kranich did decide to toss away the Ignis Elemental, but he just got one back anyway. So
yeah, it's just how
fate
it
has
works.
played its part in this game, and he will have to use it.
I mean, he won't have to use it, but it's probably helpful if he does.
Yeah, could just sit in his... Either way, it's going to sit on the board or sit in his hand. I'd rather be doing 2 damage.
Not ideal here for Ties. This book might fix matters, though. There's a lot of cards this can pick up that would help fix his curve and fix his general situation. He's going to have at least have a 2-drop. Fit and Flame, not the absolute worst. Obviously, he's okay.
Could work as a removal later on a 5/5. That was a cute little giggle.
Thank you. I'm blushing now.
Yeah, Forbidden Flame could work as a removal later on a 5/5, but if you're in a position where you're removing 5/5s, you may already be dying. That is the only fear. I'm expecting just a dagger up from Kranich here. He doesn't need to pull this trigger. And
Yeah, you want to save the Biofin for after you've completed, if you possibly can.
Yep.
Just to get extra 5/5s. The Igneous serves both purposes, but it can't be played, and the Brewmaster's a bounce, so just daggering up's kind of what you've got left.
And this is the second week running that Tice has brought Mage and Shaman as well. Well, actually, Mage, Shaman, and Warlock, both last week and this week. So clearly he's very set in stone about what decks he wants to play, and I think that's always interesting to see throughout global games. Who likes doing what, where their kind of specialities lie.
Be interesting to see if anyone next week runs like a Priest into Ties. They can work out what Ties is going to be, stick a Priest in there, take on that, that double combo of Mage and Shaman, where the Priest will be doing pretty well.
And I mean, 2 weeks in a row of bringing something, okay, but if it's a 3rd week in a row, then that's when you get predictable. And if we look back to just the round robin of Phase 1 as well, there has been more demonstrations of Mage and Shaman from Tice 2.
Right, that's interesting that that's a combo that he seems to favour. It does cover a lot of stuff, especially if you consider that Priest isn't a prime class. Plus, it doesn't actually cover everything, depending which Priest you bring anyway. So definitely a nice combo of classes to bring together.
So Kranich does actually have all the tools to complete this quest over a few turns. If he can kill off this Igneous Elemental, get two of those Flame Elementals back, play a Firefly, bounce something back with the Brewmaster as well. Bish Bash Bosh, job's done.
Kind of. I mean, yes, in theory, when you say it quick.
But it's, Bish Bash Bosh, it's not as easy as it comes across. And I think that's the case for Jade Druid, for Quest Rogue in general, to be honest. Right. It had a lot of stick when it first came out of being an easy deck to play. And mind-numbingly boring, and, it's ruining the meta. But actually, developments and the way the deck has changed has really shown a skill gap between the best players and the bog average players. Yeah,
very much so. I just think that so much work has been done on this by the best players, because it's interesting to play. And yeah, okay, we know what you're saying, but it's interesting to play the deck. There's a lot going on. There's so many technical aspects to it. You don't just throw out the cheapest minion and bounce it a few times. That seems to work, which is why people get so angry with it.
That's the problem. Sometimes it does work like that, when you get the absolute nuts hand to start off with.
Yeah, you mimic pod into a boar and you just drop it on the table, and then the world's easy for you.
I have heard the comparison of Quest Rogue being compared to Grim Patron Warrior.
I've done that, but Southe doesn't like it.
Yeah, I mean, and people who like Grim
Patron
Patron Warrior aren't going to like that. But I can understand the comparison, of course. There are a lot of differences. I mean, just the class for one. But I know what people are getting at when they do explain that. But regardless, back to the game. Kranich has got quite a lot of damage on board, but he's already down to 19 health. So Tice has a game plan of just, I'm going to put stuff towards your face and kill you before you kill me.
Yeah, and that's sort of what we went with at the start. But yeah, that stuff is starting to do its damage now. 19 with a Pyroblast in hand and coin. So he only has to get to turn 9 if he doesn't use that coin. And he should have enough damage to win the game. But we all know that the Rogue deck can just hit you so much so quickly. Kranich building up this wide board. If it gets Volcanic Potioned or removed with any AoE, it will just go Elemental, 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 complete quest, 4/5s on the board, thank you very much. And if Ties doesn't deal with it, then actually this damage is starting to add up.
Yeah, it really is. Kranich had the option then, if you wanted to start actually bouncing back the Igneous Elementals if you wanted to complete the quest with them, but just too expensive for the mana, so he is just opting and hoping that he's going to be able to kill one of them off eventually.
And this is what you try and do as the Rogue when you have this awkward hand, is you try and force your opponent to have to kill the Igneous. I don't think he's quite there yet. I think Ties can still just get away with killing off the Brewmaster, but he can only do that by putting a minion on the board, and then the Igneous can kill itself, and then the quest is completed. But Ties does have a lot of damage in hand.
Yeah, he is going to have to use the Medivh's Valley if he wants to kill anything off. Actually, no, okay, Forbidden Flame.
Yeah.
And then he's got Coin into Firelands Portal, into another Firelands Portal, into then a Dead Turn or Medivh, into a potential Pyroblast. So the damage is there.
Can he wait longer? So could he wait to try and go turn 7 Firelands, turn 8 Firelands, turn 9 Pyroblast? And survive all that? Remember, there is a block up, and he could fish for another block in the meantime.
I guess the only downside to using the Firelands Portal is you're putting a minion on board.
You are, and that turn 8 that I said so quickly about the second Firelands is the turn where they might be able to proc you on 7, kill you on 8 if you're not careful. And this damage is stacking up. If you count these all as 5/5s, yeah, that's a lot that's coming at Ties. And Ties, yes, he's starting to shake his head there. I'm not quite sure about this anymore. Don't think we get there, boys.
Interesting, he had so Kranich opting to bounce back his Engineer just for more card draw. Didn't want to bounce back the Flame Elemental, which was what we thought he was going to be trying to complete his quest with. So it looks like actually he just wants to put damage on the board.
How Ty's going to do at 19?
It's not about doing 19, is it? It's about doing 19 while surviving.
Yeah, he's got to do it in at absolute most 3 turns, and likely 2. He has the damage in his hand to do far more than that. And this is what happens if you ignore the Ignis. It can get a bit sort of terrifying sometimes. A bit terrifying. Sorcerer's Apprentice, does it help enough? I don't think it does. It helps really a huge amount if you've got cheap spells, but it doesn't help so much when your spells cost 10 and 7. Because it doesn't help you cast an extra spell in a turn. So
you can afford to just ping. You're not going to get your block popped this turn.
What do you ping, though?
Face. Maybe the 1/1. Looks like face is the option.
Okay.
9 damage on board at the moment, plus hero power, and you've got deckhand as well, so there is 2-turn pop. So you can Firelands Portal. However, if you Firelands Portal, that gives the option for the Ignis Elemental to die, and that means the quest could be completed. There is a prep in hand, and then suddenly that 2-turn block becomes a 1-turn block, and you're not going to have time to get that Pyroblast out.
Yeah, you can Sorcerer's Apprentice, Firelands, and play your second block, all for a total of some mana. 2, 6, 2, 10. That's just too slow.
You need to get that second block, right?
Yeah, you've got to get it first, obviously, but I'm just looking at ways that they can finish this off.
So if he were to Firelands Portal next turn,
yeah,
then you take Kranich down to 13. You then get popped. Then what? That's the issue. You would need
involves loving Hearthstone.
What? You'd need exactly Frostbolt into Ice Block. But Kranich is going to pull the trigger right this second and complete this quest.
Yep, and that's going to set up enough to offer the block out, as well as all the extra card draw on 5/5s that go with it.
And it still sets up lethal as well.
And yeah, it sets up lethal. So Ties knows what he's got to do. He's got to find a way to survive enough turns to do 18. So that involves doing either quickly. You almost certainly play Glyph here. But if you're almost certainly playing Glyph, you probably lead out with the Apprentice. Glyph. It no longer matters if your opponent procs their own Igneous, so you want to put damage on the board.
Glyph into Counterspell. Cabal Courier into Counterspell.
We can see that, but there's Mimic Pods, there's preparations, there's potential backstabs. There's usually a way to not get your Crystal Core Counterspell, but that would be hilarious.
Would it?
It would if you're Ties. It's actually a way that it would work.
So he knows the quest is going to be completed, and he knows that he's going to be popped at 5 if he just goes for a Firelands Portal. He hasn't drawn... So, right,
can he make the read that he can't be killed? Because if he plays Apprentice into Meteor, he actually lives.
If he was to get an Ice Block next turn,
yep,
and then get a Frostbolt from his Glyph, then he can still win this game.
Sure. Actually, he can just win next turn if he gets any sort of block, because he can go Apprentice into play your block into Medivh's Valley for 3, and that just lets you coin Pyro. So any block at all would be enough.
Yeah, he needs the block.
I think that's probably all. There may be some weird, wacky combination of events that can do it, but the only one I can think of at the moment is block.
It's block of the top. He also has a Glyph to search for the block as well.
Either or.
Alex Giles is not really going.
No, you can either heal your opponent or die yourself anyway. Those two options don't seem too good. So the question is, do you need to play Sorcerer's Apprentice first? Is there a reason not to? Before you glyph, you can still get your card played.
What to do? What to do?
There's not enough charge from a 5-mana minion to finish this off. So yeah, this glyph is probably it for a block. If he gets a block, he will win the game. Still can't see that third hand one. Kabbalist Tome will cost 3.
Then you're still searching, but then how many
But then you
cards
can't play the Pyroblast because you've used your coin, right? Oh, Kabbalist Tome would cost 2, right?
Yeah, it costs 2 because you've also got the Sorcerer's Apprentice on the board. But then you've got 9 hands in card, 9 cards in hand. So you have the coin first.
Which is irritating in the extreme.
He's still looking for it. Still needs that ice block. That's a spellbender and a counter spell. There is no ice block. You can just play it for the bluff here, but you are just dead, unfortunately.
Yeah, 1 mana, gain a million. Sack packed.
Tice having to concede. South Korea taking the early lead here. Kranich piloting Quest Rogue very well, actually. Doing a lot of damage without the quest even completed. Once again, it was down to just 10 before that quest was completed. And unfortunately, Tice, one of the best players in the world, couldn't keep up.
Couldn't keep up. It's the thing where I don't know if you let it happen or if your opponents force it, where the Igneous Elementals don't get dealt with and they deliver so much damage that you end up stunting your own development rather than letting your opponent just complete the quest and trying to deal with it from there on. It's a really difficult decision to go with.
Well, let's have a look at game 2 then, see who's going to be fighting up against each other. It's going to be Tyler Oot versus Dita Honey, and that's going to be Priest versus Warrior is the Mage, and the Rogue tossed away. I mean, Tice had a game plan that game. It was clear on turn 4 when he just started pumping damage to the face of Kranich. If he had drawn into another Fireball, another Frostbolt, even the Ice Block, could have been a very different game, but unfortunately, we're going to game 2 then. So, Priest versus Warrior, and Tyler, of course, had a successful seat story as well. He got top 16, so he's going to be feeling relatively comfortable. Known for being a grinder on the ladder, of course, as well.
Yeah, no surprise that he's picked the Priest here. He's against Mage and Warrior, and yeah, it's just a good spot because you're going to be okay. The Warrior's probably not taunt because you've got Mage, then you want to have the aggro deck to back it up, and I think the Priest is in a good position here.
Yeah, Priest should be in a good position, and we've seen already quite a lot of Pirate Warrior today as well. It seems to be, as I said, it seems to be quite popular, not just in the global games, but in other tournaments across DreamHack. It was more popular than Quest Warrior, and I wonder whether the length of these games is starting to affect players. Now, this is a genuine question, because if you have a 4-hour series,
right,
by that last game, you are going to be struggling. Slightly different with the global games environment, because you have different players.
Slightly different with Tyler.
Slightly different with Tyler, because he does just play the game for like 16 hours non-stop. Like,
yeah,
playing till Legend is a thing he does every season, like,
before bed.
An obnoxious amount of time.
Yeah,
he actually plays Hearthstone, and well, credit to that man. He enjoys the game and he wants to grind out, and the results have shown.
Yeah, I mean, one of the guys who's definitely a strong contender to get those last call spots at the end of the year, just through getting point after point, winning all his Open Cups, could do with a big result at a big Open event, but he's winning all the small Open Cups he needs to, and he's getting top 10 Legend with regularity. Was he number 1 on all 3 servers at one point, or was it just 2 and like a 3rd place or something garbage?
Something absolutely phenomenal, that's for sure. Something that everyone was in awe of. Tyler did bring Rogue and Priest last week as well, so I'm starting to notice a little pattern here for the Netherlands. A very confident Netherlands side as well.
Wait,
what?
There's some Hearthstone cards that dropped onto the table there. So, Gaston, your favourite deck, over to you. You discuss this one.
Right, this looks like a Tempo Warrior. I'm not going to lie, that's the read I'm getting from it. A Tempo Piratey Warrior thing.
A Tempo Piratey Warrior thing versus what looks like a deck with Priest cards.
So we did see some success, actually. I saw Tice streaming Tempo Warrior probably a couple of months ago, and he did relatively well with it. It's an interesting bring. If you are thinking that your opponent is trying to read you, then that is definitely going to throw a spanner in the works.
Definitely will.
And against Priest, Tempo Warrior might be able to do okay if he can just get that early advantage. be able to combat the removal from the priest, then maybe we can see a win here.
Right, and how long can they keep up the facade that maybe it's a pirate warrior? Like, depending on the mulligan they go with here and what they draw, they might have 2 or 3 turns of, you don't know what you're playing against, and then suddenly it's like, here's a huge taunt minion. It's like, huh?
So we'd expect to see the likes of Grom in this deck, Malkarok as well, you would have thought. Malkarok actually got better from Ungoro, because we saw cards like Cursed Blade rotate out of Standard, so that means you never have to worry about that. And actually, Tempo Warrior, yeah, okay, I'm behind this. This is a very confident bring, and we're seeing this from some of the Asian teams. They're bringing decks that are a little bit off meta in the likes of Europe and America, but they might just work out in the global game.
And again, at the moment, Tyler will not be surprised. They would have said that, well, Mage and Warrior are weak to Jade Druid, so it's going to be Pirates, so no surprise at all. They're just going to play it accordingly. Whether it makes much difference is hard to tell, because it's still basically a slightly slower Pirate deck. And Tyler has an insane start. Like, how do you play this differently anyway?
I mean, if this was against Pirate Warrior, he just flat out just won the game, most likely.
Yeah, right. 2-7, deal with that. No.
Yeah, however, there should be executes in this deck.
Yeah?
Maybe it may be a N'Zoth deck.
Ooh.
Maybe like a N'Zoth tempo variant. I mean, you've got the Diehorn Hatchling in there. Maybe. I'm just speculating, Neil.
It's like a value tempo pirate thing.
We'll just call it, unless I see N'Zoth, we'll just call it tempo.
And I'm sorry, because this always happens every week. There's a deck that the casters sit there and they guess what it is.
Yeah,
and they get home and it's like, while you were in the air last night, this made #1 legend on every server, plus several other games. You know, #1 on StarCraft.
Well, it was like earlier when we had the Priest with the double mind control, the Shadowwood Horrors. Someone tweeted me after and said, oh, actually, this was in a report from one of the websites saying these are the most popular decks right now. And I was like, okay, great.
Yeah, well done.
That one's just gone under the radar for me.
Yeah.
And they do happen. These decks that are just played by a couple of players, but they're noticed by a few more, and they can really surprise you.
Yeah, and interesting how this works out. This is just Tempo Warrior, though. Looks very much like it, as you've called.
I mean, it's funny because you know me, and you know personally,
I do, yeah.
I like to play weird decks,
Uh-huh.
like Kazakus Priest.
Yeah, Murloc Warlock.
Murloc, Warlock. Tempo Warrior is something I played for about a month straight when Ungoro came out.
When Ungoro came out?
Yes.
Not like when Boar Control made a good deck out of it.
No,
you
well...
just played it now.
Well, I played it
when
back
became
then.
Rubbish.
I wanted it to be great again. So I can understand the kind of cards that we might be seeing. However, this 2-7 is a big problem.
It's not easy to deal with if you can't execute it.
And they can't even get any value from the Acolyte as well.
A lot of time there spent by the Netherlands working out, hang on, Acolyte of Pain is not a pirate. He doesn't even look like a pirate. I guess he does a little bit. What are we going to do? And the answer is, well, we've got a 2-7. Let's find out what they're going to do. Let's just not give them any cards.
Put a pirate hat on him, he'd look like a pirate.
What, Tyler?
You could say that about anyone, really, to be honest, couldn't you?
Yeah, it works for Israel, so, yeah.
I think if I wore a pirate hat, I'd look like a pirate.
You reckon?
Just a small little ginger one. It's not very intimidating.
That'd be a really poor pirate.
Shadow Dirty Rat as well as a possibility. Now, Dirty Rat will be a worry for Netherlands, especially after we've seen the Acolyte. They'll be like, well, we don't want to bring out something like a Grom.
Yeah. That would be an
Need
accident
to be worried about Grom
waiting to happen.
That's for sure.
Grom for nothing into Blood to Ichor. Oh my goodness. The pain that would cause.
Free from Amber as
yeah,
well.
just
so
saying, this is a slow
variant. Yeah, so actually that's going to do pretty well against the Tempo Warrior in the end.
Yeah, it's just going to work out nicely for the Netherlands, you would imagine here, as South Korea not going to be able to put too much pressure on, which is going to mean the Netherlands get loads of time.
Mainly, South Korea, I mean, if this is Tempo Warrior, they haven't really been able to tempo.
No, it's just like...
Netherlands shut it down immediately on turn 1. Tyler with that disgusting start.
Yeah.
So there is an option. South Korea could just Acolyte into Blood to Ichor here if they want to.
Maybe...
They might even need to as well. Like, there's not much else going on. So try and generate some sort of board. They know they've got turn 5 pretty much stitched up. That's looking pretty good. So they're not dying anytime soon, is in their favour. So depending how deep this Warrior deck can go, they can still generate something.
And it can go pretty deep, this Warrior deck.
Glimmerroot. Good luck.
Yeah, this could be an interesting Glimmerroot, for sure.
They haven't seen the Dire Horns yet. Just good luck.
I mean, they can hope that it's going to be 2 like
Yeah.
wacky cards. From
Fiery
Warriors,
War
make it
Axe and
easy.
2 other cards.
Yeah, something like that.
Imagine doing that and it comes like Acolyte of Pain before you've seen it.
Yeah,
Like,
that
no,
would
it won't be that.
great, wouldn't it? Well, so that's actually not as easy as it might.
We've seen Sudden Genesis in decks.
I'm more.
Inner Rage's favourite?
Inner Rage and Brawl is the two I toss up in between. I have seen both played in a Tempo Warrior deck.
And we've seen Sudden Genesis in control decks, but probably not in this. Yeah, look at Tyler. Tyler's like, oh no.
Oh, I mean, it's all right. You've only got Mitsuhide behind you.
Where's
just
Oliex? He knows every card in every deck. We need him now.
You've got Tice, who's won the Spring Championship as well, and it wasn't Brawl. It was Inner Rage.
Oh, that's
It
brilliant.
happens very rarely.
Pro Hearthstone players don't know what's in the deck. I love it.
Hey, if we missed it now, it also means that so did the Netherlands, so it's okay.
Tyler. It's all right, Tyler. Don't do it. You'll be fine. Country will forgive you.
That Investitoran suggests it's
You
N'Zoth.
did mention Southe earlier, yeah.
Yeah. A N'Zothi.
And just slowly, especially missing that card from the Glimmer Root, because a 3-3 for 3 is kind of poor if you don't get the card draw from it. That's helped a lot for South Korea to start getting hold of the board and start to get a foothold in this game that looked like it was beyond them on turn 1.
But to be honest, if I had the read that this was a N'Zoth warrior, I would pick Brawl as well for Glimmer Root.
They
If I
haven't
had
seen
the
a
read-
lot of the stuff we'd seen, though.
If I had a read, well, this is the thing. If I had a read it was a
Yeah.
Tempo warrior, then I think I would have picked Inner Rage.
I think I'd have picked Inner Rage because of the Acolytes.
Yeah.
And because we've seen Blood to Ica.
However,
So Inner Rage with Blood to Ica seems to be a combo.
yeah.
But I'm still not convinced.
No, that was certainly one of the most difficult Glimmer Roots I've ever seen.
And it was funny.
And it was
I loved
really
it.
funny, wasn't it?
That's what they wanted when they designed that card, right? It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you should know what's in your opponent's deck, but it rewards your opponent for bringing something unusual.
Yeah, something a bit unpredictable.
Which is a really good thing. I think that Blizzard like to encourage deck building. Obviously, it's a deck building game at heart, although obviously net decks do take over. And like Korea have been rewarded for bringing something that's... I'm pleased now because the Netherlands hadn't seen it, so we're off the hook.
We are,
I mean, we are anyway, but you know what I mean.
ever so slightly. And this 2/6, the Radiant Elemental has just been sat there. Oh, I mean, at this point, Neil, I'm just going to be writing down cards again. And I
So-
will gladly allow anyone to tweet me saying, I saw this deck before.
Yeah,
on
they'll all
this
be
website."
Korean.
And great.
Good for you.
But for me, Warrior has been Pirate Warrior or Quest Warrior. We very rarely venture anywhere else.
I feel that Daoni really loved this arena deck.
He just brought it. I mean, we spoke actually at the start of the show.
Oh,
That's value.
just a bit.
We spoke at the start of the show about how people are trying to make Control Warrior variants viable because of the quest sometimes isn't good against certain types. Well, N'Zoth, Curator, Pirate Warrior seems to work as well.
Just putting this in context, so the Netherlands had a turn 1, 2-7 against what looked like a pirate deck, and they're getting battered.
Yeah, they've not drawn anything of any significance.
Yeah, they didn't do
either,
anything off
that's
the Glimmer
problem.
Root.
They did not draw anything. And now all they can do is Nausea Cleric start searching for
Right.
more. And this Dirty Rat is just not going to get played because it's too scary.
Yeah, I mean, well, you might
If you
pull
can't
anything
Glimmer
out.
Root and don't know what you're playing
King
against,
Mosh. I mean, who knows what's going to happen?
absolutely anything. This has been quite a wild day of Hearthstone, Neil, I'm not going to lie.
I'm enjoying this so much. Bright-eyed Scouts just... Oh, here it comes.
Okay, they got the best pull. That is the best possible pull they could have got.
Daoni with that look of, everyone's done it. It's like, how dare he play a dirty right there? Wasn't he scared?
Yeah.
But,
They kind of had to.
yeah, exactly.
That's the thing for Tyler. They're running out of steam. Free from Amber is going to put a little bit of steam. Oh my.
Oh, my
Alright,
goodness.
Okay. Okay, then let's see
Now
how
it's all
much.
starting to make a bit of sense.
Yeah.
Bright-eyed Scout, Hemet,
Yeah.
things are starting to occur. And it's a Hemet deck, and they've just played Dirty Rat and got away with it.
Well, let's see how much.
Well, that's what production think of that deck.
Yeah. Okay. Tyler apparently has already won the game, but we'll find out.
We don't ever want to see that deck again. We just
I wonder how much this deck is going to thin out once Hemet comes through. And yes, we know South Korea are doing really well at winning this game, but we are coming back to us ever so slightly. I think there's a little bit of a an issue there with the game going on. I can actually still see it, so I could give you a little bit of a rundown. There is still a thought process of whether Hemet is going to be played or not. But, Neil, I mean, there are no words. The words are, I am in love with how Asia have approached today in the global games.
Yeah, South Korea was Raven's pick, and it shows.
That's the wrong Hemet, FYI.
Yeah, this Hemet gets rid of everything from your deck that is cheap and allows all your draws to be, I was going to say purified, but then the priest would have something to say about that.
So what's Hemet going to get rid of then? It's going to get rid of any executes. That Inner Rage is also
cheap
going to be disappearing. Pirates, yeah, if there's another N'Zoth's first mate, another War Axe, that's going to go as well. We're looking at this thinning down to potentially, what, like 8 cards, 7 cards?
And who knows what happens beyond that point.
And it may be a case of South Korea just not wanting to do that because they may be worried this game could go to fatigue.
Yeah, they're also in no hurry, right? Their hand is good enough. Like, let's play some stuff out. Let's draw some stuff before we thin it out. Maybe they don't mind weaving in a couple of cheap minions in the next couple of turns till they get to 10 mana, and then it's just like, all right, bish bash bosh, big stuff.
Well, speaking of bish bash bosh, big stuff, free from Amber is a possibility if Netherlands would like. However, they may just be tempted to reset this board with the Dragonfire Potion.
I told you this is a predictable format. I told you this was Pirate Warrior. So, just look at the card advantage, though, that South Korea have got throughout the course of this game.
And now they can put a 5-mana 6/9 down as well. It's just absolutely...
Oh, that's a good reason not to play the Hemet just yet. Let's thin it down when those things are, yeah, when the other hatchlings died. Wait for that to go, and then Hemet later. Let's get some more big stuff in that deck. I guess it doesn't matter which order it happens in.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Potion of Madness, not really going to help. You could, no.
You could just
free from Amber. I mean, if you want to kill off the frothing, you can use Potion of Madness.
Yeah, or you can use Dragonfire at any point, though, so no hurry for it.
No, you're on 30 HP, so you're feeling pretty good about yourself. So you can free for Amber and look for something like, well, just a 12/12. Get a Deathwing Dragonlord, for example.
You need something big. You need a good roll right now, because otherwise this is going to be over in a hurry.
So Malygos is probably I'm drawn to it immediately because it could just synergize well with Dragonfire Potion afterwards.
There you go.
And to keep Malygos alive, they're actually opting to use the Potion of Madness now, so nothing crazy can happen afterwards.
Primordial Drake survives Potion.
It does.
That's an Armor Smith.
Yeah, Armor Smith as well.
Can you explain to me what's happening?
It's just like a tempo, N'Zoth, Hemet, Bright Eyes.
Oh, thank goodness for that. I thought it was something weird.
No. But you have no idea how happy it makes me to see something like this brought to a competitive tournament.
Right, in a pretty important spot. You're taking on the Netherlands. You're not taking on, like, a Mickey Mouse company.
Exactly. And this late on in the meta as well. Everyone has been saying, kind of, Unguro, yeah, it's solved now. We've got our meta. There are going to be a few tweaks here and there. But then when you get something thrown into the spanner like this...
Thrown into the spanner? You just get the works and just chuck them all into one spanner. It's like, that's spanner sorted out.
Yeah, whilst we're doing that, we can throw bathtubs into sinks as
yeah.
well. Like, all the backwards.
That's for another cast.
Yeah, exactly. And there's the...
Plan hatched.
There's the value from the Dragonfire Potion coming out then. No read there from South Korea to play the Primordial Drake into it.
Don't tell TJ and Wibble about that one.
No.
Otherwise they'll be, yeah, they will.
Ever.
Ever.
I mean, Crystalline Oracle can get a card from their deck.
Woo! What card will it get? They don't even know what's in there. They've already proved that.
They might get an Inner Rage. That would really rub salt into the wounds.
That would be so funny. Make that happen.
Okay.
Cool. Let's sort it out.
Yep.
Dan did just click his fingers and point at the screen then, which terrifies me. They're still on 30. That's the saving grace, but they're out of stuff. This Malygos is going to have to do a heck of a lot of work if they're going to get out of this. All right. Well, that's the end of the Malygos. Next plan.
Yeah, Gorehouse is an interesting conclusion as well. Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, does it? Does anything make sense? This deck's amazing.
I love it, Neil. All right, how does Tyler win this game? What can he get from Crystalline Oracle? Something like a Grummash could help stabilize this board, but still going to struggle.
Lyra is usually the answer.
Lyra is usually a pretty good answer to anything.
But it needs to be quick, because at the moment there's no spells in hand. They have held back the Radiant Elemental, so Lyra plus 1 spell could just go crazy. And they have got South Korea down to 13. You can get some direct damage from Lyra. Maybe they've got a bit of tech of their own, but they seem to be playing a pretty standard build right now. And yeah, Tyler's just... It's good that he can see the funny side. Like, when someone does this to you, you've kind of just got to nod and say,
We've
yeah,
seen this twice today. We saw this with Southe with Norway when he played against the Priest. The kind of acceptance of, all right, they've brought something that we didn't expect, and they're trashing us with it.
Yep, and trashing seems to be the word right now. And there goes a load of cards.
Hemet takes the deck down from 11 to 6.
One thing you can be sure of is Tyler will be playing this on stream tonight. Several times.
Say, hey, this is what I lost to today.
New meta. Hemet Warrior. Double Armor Smith as well, just in case they wanted to get rid of this stuff. The Primordial Drake's going to gain so much armor next turn.
Now, Cairn Bloodhoof is pretty big from Christian
Yeah.
Oracle, to be honest. That will give Tyler another read as to what deck this is.
Yeah.
There's 6 cards left. He knows one is Cairn, and then he's going to be thinking, okay, N'Zoth is in
N'Zoth.
there as well. There's also another one of the hatchlings in there.
Yeah, the
or at least
matriarch.
Matriarch, yeah.
That's
the mother.
3. And who knows what else might be lurking in the depths of here.
Grommash, most likely.
Elise?
Potentially Malkarok, although Malkarok may have just been subbed out
Yeah.
for Hal.
Elise, maybe, if you wanted some value. Who knows anymore?
I mean, there is a lot of value in this deck. The fact that he played Bright Eyes and he got Curator from Bright Eyes as well. He could have got Inner Rage. Could have got Fiery War Axe.
N'Zoth's first mate, which just chilled in the deck for no reason, by
Yeah.
the way. That's just the early game. That's a big deal. That's some armor that's not gained. It's not a big deal. It's a deal of some sort. It is some armor that Dione is not going to be able to get.
Both Dragonflies have been used by Tyler, right?
I think so. Definitely remember 1.
There's... wait, what?
They didn't pick it, did they? I thought they picked Brawl.
Okay, so they... right, okay, yeah. They must have picked Inner Rage, and it was Brawl there.
Right.
That makes
I thought
more
they
sense.
picked Brawl. That's how it looked on the screen.
It looked... Yeah, the animation might have...
So this definitely makes more sense.
Right, okay. Forget Inner Rage. Brawl is a card.
But I would have picked Inner Rage. I'm not going to go back on my word. I would have picked Inner Rage.
We agreed with the Inner Rage pick.
And so did the Netherlands. And we thought we were disagreeing with them, but we were agreeing with the pick that I've been laughing at for the last 10 minutes. So laugh at me. Laugh it up.
And we can still laugh because they still got it wrong, but...
So Cleric Heal needs a spell urgently here so he can go some sort of Lyra craziness. And we can still laugh, and I'm going to.
This jungle hides many secrets.
This jungle hides Hemets.
Hides everything at the moment. So a lot of damage about to income. The Wrath.
It is, but they need to be a little bit careful. Things can still go wrong.
Yeah, they are only on 50%.
There's a lot of armor if you trade here to be gained.
Yeah. You can trade pretty effectively as well. I think you can probably leave the Cleric up.
And we know something about 4/5s against Priest as well, but not sure what.
No.
Do you bump both your armor smiths into Cleric even though it weakens them just to get a whole bunch of armor, do you think?
Potentially.
Nope. You just zap the Cleric, apparently.
I mean, I like just killing off Ken and then running Hemet probably into the Ken afterwards, and then the Drake. You can clear everything if you want to, but I think they won't be too concerned about leaving just 1 minion on the board,
Right.
especially with a taunt in the way as well.
Just looking at Tyler's expressions during this game. And that's the thing with this format, and something I've been trying to explain a lot more than usual today, is that there is the potential for manoeuvring. A lot of these teams have saved this sort of stuff for this phase, of course. Both these... Korea didn't cruise through, but the Netherlands cruised through the first phase.
Well, here we go. Lyra into Elemental, into Shadowward Death.
Here we go.
Kill off Hemet. Look for some answers, really.
Yeah, you want a shield to get 2 cards for the price of 1 to start you off a lot of the time.
Brace the Shadow will allow to draw something.
Purify, it's 2 cards. No, it's not, because it costs some mana still.
And there's N'Zoth just to finish this game. So you can trade off against Lyra. Neil's, meanwhile, spitting up all of his guts. You okay?
I'm
Feeling all
not
right?
okay.
Do you want some water?
I'm fine. I'll have some water
Okay,
while you
great.
just carry this.
Well-
I know what's happening, so you can tell them.
They can kill off Lyra, they play N'Zoth, and they win the game. That's pretty much how it's going to go down. No way back into this now. We've seen both Dragonfire potions used. Purify is not really going to help except search for an answer that I don't think is there.
And that was insane again. I keep saying things are insane today, but what even?
Absolutely unreal. I mean, the Glimmer Root, to be honest, right, and there will probably be sticks saying, oh, we got the Glimmer Root wrong. He actually picked the other card.
Yeah.
But how often do you see Glimmer Root pick the wrong card?
Never.
I don't think I've seen that animation like once.
Yeah. I used to get it wrong all the time, as Dan helpfully pointed out earlier, because I used to say, oh, I'm discovering a card, look at me go.
Yeah, I've seen even the best of players do that, though, but that was just a genuine decision. Here we go, Glimmer Root again. Let's see if you can get it right this time.
Yeah, good luck.
Only 3 cards. I mean, yeah.
I mean, you've seen one of those.
Yeah. No, but wait. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I was gonna
it's
say,
not, no,
yeah.
don't do that thing.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it.
We've already had one of those things happen today.
Netherlands conceding, and Tyler Root probably going to go and have a cold shower. Wonder what happened in that game, and just laughter from the South Korean side. Especially when that Glimmer Root was picked wrong. Even they laughed, even Tyler laughed, even we laughed. The whole world laughed, and we laughed together.
The whole world laughing together here at Hearthstone Global Games, and that's what it's all about, is having everybody laughing together. Even happy people like me laugh sometimes.
It is about having fun. All right, the third game then, and potentially the last for the Netherlands if they can't put one on the board. Let's have a look at the matchup, see who's going to be taking on one another. Mitsuhide, the recent winner of Seat Story, against Handsome Guy. Mitsuhide is going to be playing Warrior. Handsome Guy going to have that Paladin. Now, last week, again, Neil, Mitsuhide, he brought Druid and Warrior.
Yeah.
Netherlands have got a game plan. Unfortunately, their game plan is being tarnished by the crazy bringing of decks from South Korea.
The crazy bringing of decks. So I think the last thing anybody expects when you're doing all this research, we were talking about this last night actually, is to do exactly the same as you did last week.
Yep.
Like most teams have a pattern of some sort. Everyone tries to capitalize, is that a word?
Capitalize, yeah.
On that and so on. But if you just bring the exact same lineup as you brought last week, I don't think when it's a team with the quality of the Netherlands, you're going to go, oh, they're going to bring the same decks. It's just not the thought process you go through.
Depends how much research Korea have done. If Korea have looked back into the round robin and they have found a significant pattern from the Netherlands of these players are constantly bringing these, then we can actually target them. We can take that risk. However, they can't just bring like a Southe Warrior, which actually I love. I credit these guys and I bow down to their...
You bump into Gaskin on ladder tonight, guys, and he plays turn 1 Southe first mate. It's not Pirates.
I am going to find that deck, and I am definitely going
All you rank 13s out there, just look out for him.
Wow. That's on my Asia account, I'm ranked 13.
Yeah, he's 15 on the other.
So it's going to be Warrior versus Paladin then. Could be in for the long haul.
Yep.
Could be a Control Paladin versus a Quest Warrior. Maybe we're going to see something a little bit different. I think it's hard to predict South Korea at this point. If it is Paladin, if it is the Control variant, I wonder whether going up against Mitsuhide, they would have taken any recognition from his win at Seat Story. A little bit of different inclusions there. Outer Peacekeeper taken away, Kodo taken away, replaced for the likes of Blessing of Kings.
The problem is he's playing Warrior. If he's playing like Rogue or maybe even Priest, some classes where you have to make judgment calls on your own really quickly, I think you factor that in of the player more than if it's just a fairly standard-looking deck where the whole team can just have input and there's no hurry. Like Miracle Rogue, you tend to put a specialist player on it. But Mitsuhide playing any deck right now, he's going to have the backup of the best players in the Netherlands, including himself, so I don't think you can read too much into recent results.
I mean, but recent results have been good for him.
I mean, the guy's good.
I mean...
And he's not on a team. Why is he not on a team?
We were at DreamHack, and he had the possibility to become 2 times champion at DreamHack. Unfortunately, didn't quite get there, but then goes on to Seat Story to win that as well. I mean, Mitsuhide is in a really good spot right now, and as you say, sponsors must be queuing up now.
They really should be. Like his Twitter says he's looking for a team. Teams, look for him. He's good. He's good at Hearthstone.
And then Handsome Guy as well. I mean, also a big name in the Hearthstone community, and well in his own right to absolutely dominate this game and potentially have South Korea go 3-0 up.
3 finals last year in APAC, I believe. Like win second or something. There was a second in there and ruined everything. Terrible.
Yeah, second place.
Don't you just hate it when you only win twice in the biggest tournament in your region?
Game number 3 then is just getting underway. As we said, it's going to be Paladin versus Warrior. Let's dive straight into this one and see who is going to be taking the W. Is it going to be Mitsuhide or is it going to be Handsome Guy? And it is going to be the more of aggressive Murloc variant from a Handsome Guy, and it's the Quest Warrior.
The Grimscale Chum is the one that helps us out so much when we're casting, because it's the only one that it only comes in a really aggressive package. All of the other one drops could be anything even still, but the Chum and the Cold Light Seer, I think, are the two giveaways for the large part.
Yeah, they're definitely big giveaways for sure. Mitsuhide, interestingly, didn't actually bring Quest Warrior to his lineup at Seat Story. It's not something that he was playing.
Did he play Warrior at all, do you know?
No Warrior at Seat Story.
So this will be a team effort then.
He brought Evolve Shaman, Quest Rogue, Jade Druid, Discover Mage, and Murloc Paladin.
In a bit of a spot already here, though. Keeping the quest. You don't know what the Paladin is, of course. If he knew there was a Grimscale Chum sitting in his opponent's hand, he may do something different here. But if it's a really slow N'Zothi grind Paladin, and you've just seen a N'Zoth Warrior, you're within your rights to assume this might be a N'Zoth Paladin to go with it.
So, either way, it doesn't really matter what Murloc you play here. If you're thinking that it's Pirate, then N'Zoth's First Mate can kill either Murloc anyway.
Right.
Because, well, if they've got patches in the deck. If they don't have patches in the deck, and they have it in their hand...
if they have it in their collection. But just...
If they have it in their hand, then Murloc Tidecaller could survive. But of course, they may have the read now that this is Quest Warrior, just from if they were watching the hand being picked and looking what cards were chucked away. Can sometimes give you an idea.
Yeah, it was paired with a Druid, which doesn't tell you too much as well. That seems to be a partnership of decks that just can be anything and anything until you've seen one of them.
Let me think.
And this is a difficult call. We've got to do something. So, Chum is better against War Axe. And it's better if it survives as well in the long run, because you just get to get that buff. Alright. So now they're for sure, like you say, the mulligan had been some sort of clue there, but our Handsome Guy's got a great spot now.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, you've already got buffed up Hunter that's going to buff up this Chum, and then you've got a follow-up of Hydrologist into Secret or Tidecaller into Hydrologist. You can really start putting the pressure on.
Yeah, the Chum is out of Ghoul range, the Hunter's out of War Axe range. This all works out really nicely.
We may see the Netherlands have to coin out a Tile Creeper here, yeah.
Not ideal given the next turn. And it's also a bit of a giveaway that they haven't got much to do, which may well encourage Career to go wide, especially now as Brawl is just going to be a long way off without that coin.
So Vine Cleaver we saw included in Oskaka's Paladin at Seat Story, so that's certainly something that people are starting to put in their decks as well.
Might be a Deathwing thrown in there, because the Vine Cleaver works so well with the Deathwing to help refuel your board even though you've got no cards.
Yep.
Which is weird, right? I said this is like the most aggressive variant.
Yeah.
10 mana, 12, why not?
I mean, people still tweaking it. People still trying to perfect it. And as you said, Vine Cleaver and Deathwing were both in Oskaka's list. We also saw it actually at DreamHack as well.
Yeah, that was Hoy, I think, at DreamHack. Yeah. Sort of started that trend, if it is this. But yeah, the Vine Cleaver is a bit of a giveaway that it looks like it's going that way.
And then just a Stonehill Defender now for Mitsuhide. And luckily for him, there's nothing really to follow up for Handsome Guy.
At the moment, no obvious way through, but this deck can just whiff. We saw a game, I can't remember who was playing it, unfortunately, at Seat Story, where it just went 7-drop, 7-drop, Spike Steed, Deathwing. I don't think Deathwing was the only card he didn't draw. He just drew like 6 cards in a row that all cost 6 or more, and by turn 5 he was like just dead to something he should be beating. It was like, oh, that's kind of awkward. And so there are enough heavy cards in here that South Korea could miss 2 turns in a row here and suddenly find themselves a long way behind, even though at the moment they're obviously in the ascendancy, and something like a War Leader will just win them the game.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you put the shoe on the other foot, a Megasaur or a War Leader, and it could be game over. And
even another Rockpool Hunter would be annoying enough.
Anything that they can play in conjunction with either a Repentance or a Hero Power here would be really nice.
Consecration, huh.
Depends how much damage they want to push through this turn. You could just consecrate this.
The problem with the consecration here is it leaves you wide open to Ghoul on the next turn, because you're going to have to trade in one of those 2/2s, and then the Ghoul's just like a blowout. But if you don't consecrate...
If you don't consecrate, then you'll probably end up trading in the 2/2s anyway, and you're over
and it's still a blowout to Ghoul. So you might as well not consecrate, I think, and just get blown out by Ghoul either way. I know it costs you a 2/1 at the end of it, but hey.
Well, the Ghoul doesn't necessarily kill one of them. If you consecrate, you can trade your hydrologist in, and then your Tycaller can stay alive.
Sure, okay. Or you could trade in the Rockpool Hunter actually, and just go at it.
Yeah, if
Keep
you're
the
that worried
2/2s.
about if you're that worried about Ghoul, then just keep the 2/2s on the board. I think I prefer that.
I think I do. It costs you a damage, but it makes the board a lot more stable.
No, Handsome Guy disagrees, and he actually just wants to push more damage, and he says, I don't think you've got an Acolyte. Acolyte? Ravaging Ghoul. He has got an Acolyte,
but I'm not sure how it helps.
Fiery War Axe finally coming.
Yeah, do you play it now? If you don't play it now, you play it... What do you play? You play the Bloodhoof Brave, and then next turn you play War Axe with the Acolyte. Trying desperately not to use that Brawl, because there's more emergencies coming up with Tyrians and such like later on. You really don't want to have to use up Brawl. You really don't want to have to use up War Axe either, so if you can hold off this mess with your Bloodhoof Brave, that might be a way forward. And then maybe even Aliamus with the turn after. The opponent's turns, they've just consecrated on 4 mana on a board that could deal with the taunt without it. I suspect you get the read here that they're struggling slightly.
Inquisitor's not great. It does allow to make this board pretty wide, but you are going wide against a potential Brawl. Of course, we can see that Brawl, but it's also something you always will consider.
I think you have to Inquisitor hero power and just trade in your 4/2 and your 2/1. I don't think anything else really works for you here.
I wonder.
The other options would be what? Sit and chill. Draw nothing next turn, try and keep enough alive for Spite Ridged. Yeah.
You could play a Repentance alongside it as well if you're worried about, I don't know, turn 5 Aliamusmith, Direhorn Hatchling, for example.
I wonder.
But since things are starting to look a little bit stickier now for South Korea, Netherlands have somewhat stabilized here when it looked like it was going to slightly go out of control, but nothing significant was drawn from the South Korean side.
Yeah, looks like they're going to go with this. Just there's never, well, there's not never, but for the foreseeable future, there's no good way through this. So you've just got to just do it. Take your beatings.
Do it. Ooh, Dirty Rat.
I mean, Aliamus, they've just struggled to get through one taunt. Just give them another one to deal with. You are, of course, scared of Spite Ridge Steed now, but does that really help get through this?
How scared are you of Repentance as well? That's the issue. Judging by the order of how South Korea have played it,
that's a very good point.
then potentially they'll be a little bit worried about Repentance.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So maybe you have to play the Acolyte of Pain. You don't need the cards that badly. You've got Curator in 2 turns' time. 2 turns' time. So yeah, maybe you just go for the War Axe and the Acolyte, not in that order.
If they do Aliamusmith, they'll gain 2 armor just from the trade from one of the little Murloc dudes. 4 goes to face, but there's nothing to do for Handsome Guy. It would be awesome if it was turn 7, but it's not. It's just turn 6. Spike Ridge Steed would be phenomenal.
Does do this play, which works out really nicely. Again, they're not desperate for the card. They're desperate to not throw the game. They've done a very good job of hanging in there with this play. Getting rid of the thing that's harder to get rid of because they've got plenty of out to get rid of the 3/1.
Yeah, Ravaging Ghoul would be really nice off the top.
Wouldn't it just? They've got 2 draws at it because the Acolyte will end up trading.
Handsome Guy might even trade his Rallying Blade into the Acolyte here.
Let me think.
It's a possibility.
Just to try and keep the 3/1 alive and make sure that it's not...
I imagine he trades the 1/1 in though because it just
wants more damage.
Yeah, it's soon dying anyway. Looking at the last play, you're expecting the Ghoul to come down. Or knowing that that's the only out. Either way, if you're expecting it or otherwise.
Still no Ravaging Ghoul. Execute is just overkill. So likelihood we're going to see some taunts dropped now.
Yeah, they made the way forward by triggering the secret, so in a good spot to gain some armor from the Armorsmith. But I guess is why he's called Armorsmith.
Yeah. Then the Curator will be able to be played finally from Handsome Guy.
Setting up the Primordial Drake.
Yeah, and then things start getting a little bit more interesting. He's got a chance to draw into the likes of Tyrion. Then we'll have Vine Cleaver to follow up to just generate constant value. It's a tough one to call. South Korea in a good spot, but there is a chance for Netherlands to stabilize here. If there are some whiff draws from South Korea, stuff like a Grimescale Chum, for example, afterwards, then Maybe there's a chance that Netherlands could get back into this.
Yeah, they should get some armor from this. No obvious way through. Spike with Steed, not enough to burst through it. They're looking at 4, maybe even 6 armor from this armor smith. It's a big deal.
It's a pretty big deal. I like a Curator here just to refill your hand.
The menagerie is for guests only.
Deathwing!
Okay, well that means no Primordial Drake, but yeah, there's the Deathwing that could play a huge factor in this game a little bit later on. Not only does it, of course, eliminate a board, but it survives the 8 damage from the hero power.
Right.
Anything above 8 health is always good.
Of course, the Netherlands will be well aware that is a possibility now. It's well ingrained into everybody's mind because it's been out for several days, this version of the deck, and these pros react quickly, oddly enough. So that execute might just not go anywhere for some time. They have had no indication it's the Deathwing build, but they will get that indication fairly soon. Don't think they're under any... Well, they're under pressure, but I don't think they're under enough pressure to have to execute the Curator. Maybe they are. I think you just dropped your own Curator here, right?
I think so. I think Curator's absolutely fine here. You've got the Spike Ridge Steed as a follow-up now for South Korea, and they can really start to generate some pressure now.
Yep, they're going to start getting through stuff quickly, trying to force that execute out. Of course, you can't just plop Deathwing down on turn 10. That's not going to do it often enough with all these taunts. But you can do it fairly soon.
Yeah, it's kind of a panic button as well, isn't it? It's when this game is going south, the only way we're going to get back into it is actually through Deathwing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's how Deathwing goes.
Was that your panic button noise?
Yeah.
All right.
You don't see me panic very often.
It was a pretty calm panic.
I'm always panicked, so I don't really need much of a panic alarm. It's just like, yeah, keep panicking, you'll be fine.
Right, risky play.
Yep.
Is you hero power and you Megasaur and you look for poison.
That is a risky play. Or you can just play Spike Ridge Steed and kill their 4/6.
You could, but
I like your play of your consideration, though.
Considerations are always good. If there's only one line of play, then game would be boring. If anyone's going to take risks, it's probably South Korea, to be honest.
I think they just took a bit of a risk, and it paid off really well for them in the previous game.
It definitely did.
But yeah,
but
Spike Ridge Steed going to make the play that makes sense.
Yeah, way too much value.
Maybe the only risk here is it allows the Ali Armsmith to potentially gain a bit more armor. But also maybe this tempts the execute out, which isn't the worst thing with a Deathwing in your hand.
Yeah.
You don't really want it to be there, but a little bit down the line when the second execute's gone and you're on turn 1,000,000 and your opponent's firing 8 damage things at your face, dropping a Deathwing seems good.
Certainly it's going to help. There's a Harrison Jones there as well to potentially deal with that Vine Cleaver at some point.
Yes.
Or later on deal with a Tyrion.
This is one of the difficult things about this matchup for the Warrior. Like traditionally, we would declare that the Warrior executes a 6/8 and has stabilized. But you just don't stabilize against Paladin until you've won. It just keeps making Tyrions and Stonehill Defenders making more Tyrions and then Redemption's making more Tyrions.
And this was a matchup that originally was favored for the Paladin.
Right.
When it was Quest Warrior versus kind of Murloc Paladin, we always used to say Murloc Paladin they had the advantage. However, Quest Warrior, have kind of developed to a situation where they can actually
win. Worse than I do.
They can actually win this matchup.
Double Ali Armorsmith.
That's
loads of armor.
8 hours, that is. Saying Quest Rogue instead of Quest Warrior.
Yeah.
But this is certainly a really important game for the Netherlands. Because if they lose this, they're 1-1.
And they'll have had a 3-0 loss, which is a big deal in the tiebreakers for the third place finishers.
Definitely.
South Korea seem to... This is so close. South Korea is so close to winning this, but those double armor smiths with quest nearly complete, we can see the answers in hand. The Harrison's going to answer the Vine Cleaver. Brawl will answer a lot of this stuff. And then Deathwing, there's no answer, but just throwing down taunt after taunt in the way of Deathwing kind of answers it.
There's poison. At least that gets rid of these annoying Ali Armor Smiths.
Yeah, and that's a big deal, actually.
He's counting +3 attack as well, seeing if he can get anything from that, but...
Pew, 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 pew.
Yeah, just get rid of these armor smiths. 4 armors gained, but then you can push 2 to face, and this brawl is going to have to come out. So
Yeah,
you can
Primordial
Dirty
Drake's
Rat
not enough.
first. Dirty Rat into then brawl. Dirty Rat might pull Deathwing.
And look how important that was. There's a Battle Rage in hand now, which would have been more card draw. But as it is, not so good. They're going to go for your play.
It's always so anticlimactic when the quest does that. You're always waiting, and then it just completes the quest. But yeah, there's Deathwing. That's a bad 50-50. But
Yeah.
if the Deathwing does survive this brawl, Neil,
Yeah.
imagine.
That will be the end of the game because 13, although it is bigger than 12, can't defend the Dying Cleaver. Where's that Deathwing? Oh.
It was teasing us. It was on the brink. It was a second out.
Poison Murloc survives. But he doesn't survive being blown up by Primordial Drakes. Much as he's going to try, bless him.
Yeah, so now that might be the game turning in the favor of Mitsuhide here.
I think the thing that's going to finally turn this is going to be that Harrison.
Yep.
This Vine Cleaver's looking still like, oh, it's only 13, maybe we can sneak our way through, defend the Sulfuras with some little dudes. But unfortunately, it's going to get locked up in a museum. Could be a Tyrion in the deck still. Well, it should be a Tyrion here. There it is.
So maybe actually you are okay with playing Vine Cleaver here.
And getting it, Harrison, and then your Ashbringer just goes bosh. A lot of things go bosh.
I mean, what's the other consideration here? Are they considering Grime Street Protector? Potentially? Just to try and
Because
put
they can play it
something on
now,
the board.
right?
They
Yeah.
can play it now. It's something that survives Primordial Drake. They know Primordial Drake is going to be in the hand of Mitsuhide because Curator was already played. But Tyrion just has too much value.
Definitely worthy of consideration, though. And I've got to work out how they're going to try and get through this Drake, which was the big deal, right? Because now they have to get through it the slow way with Tyrion. Getting that 5 in while they can. Every point of damage is so crucial. I don't think there's many matchups where all the chip damage adds up so importantly as this one. Like, you quite often come down to either the warrior having 1 rag shot to kill you or to lose, or to the paladin having like a consecration for the win. All those points through the game really make a difference in this particular matchup, I feel, and always have done for the last 2 months. It seems to be the same.
Naturally, you want to get rid of this Vine Cleaver because, yeah, okay, you can Primordial Drake and you get rid of those 3 1/1s, but then there are more 1/1s just generated from the Vine Cleaver. You're not going to get as much value out of Harrison.
Yeah, your opponent just had a suspicious Stonehill defender that went to rope for no particular reason, making it look like they weren't taking Tyrion.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a fair point. If you just snap take Tyrion, this Harrison doesn't get played.
But if they do Harrison here, then they follow up with either the Hatchling or the Stonehill defender, but there is just a 1/1 Poison Murloc on the board, so you can't afford to go down that route.
I think you just play the Drake, honestly, and then see if you need to...
I think the Poison Murloc is too much of a threat not to play.
Oh!
South Korea got really unlucky with those pulls.
Yeah, bonus Tyrion would have been pretty good.
A bonus Tyrion definitely would have been good. It's already a bonus because it came out of Stonehill Defender. It would have been a double bonus.
It really would. But now they've got to actually cast it the old-fashioned way.
So if Handsome Guy had managed to keep the Deathwing from that original Dirty Rat and got the Tyrion onto board now, like... I guess it's about time something went the Netherlands' way after the previous game.
I don't think you can accuse that of being bad luck. I mean,
No,
they
I'm
didn't
not
even
saying-
know what was in the deck. They can't even get a glimmer of it right.
I'm not saying they had bad luck. I'm just saying it's probably about time they had something to cheer about because it was pretty painful for them.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a flat day for the Netherlands. But now they've just got to make sure they keep defending. Because one was...
They've got rid of that Primordial Drake, and this board is starting to get relatively wide.
Yeah, Deathwing would be absolutely huge here if it still existed. But this Tyrion, remember, did come from the Stonehill, so there's another Tyrion to come still. And that's 30 points of Ashbringer. It's a lot of Ash. And Mitsuhide's in a position where he's not going to be able to deal with everything all at once. Like you can brawl, and Harrison is like the best play he can have going forward. But then he doesn't get to Sulfuris, and he's in no position to Sulfuris just yet. He needs to get some armor first.
Yeah, it would be a risk to play Sulfuris.
It'd be like Jiraxxus, right? Sometimes you've just got to go for it and think, like, trust your 6/6s to do the work. Sometimes you have to just give up your hero power, but not with all these 1/1s on the board.
I think actually Handsome Guy will be pretty happy to see Harrison Jones drop onto the board here.
Yeah, and playing him late seems strange because that's a card they didn't get from the museum's archives, and it's also an Ashbringer that isn't going there.
This is still a tough one to call. I was feeling with Deathwing being drawn out that this was back in Netherlands' favour.
Yeah.
They have got a lot of card draw. And there's that Brawl. That second Brawl could be a game changer as well.
I feel like that turn just wasn't optimal from the Netherlands. There were a lot of things happened as they went away, yeah, as they went along.
And there's that Kings.
That's a lot. That's a lot of damage.
It's not enough there. They could only push 1 damage to face with it.
Right, but next turn,
yeah,
if this isn't dealt with, which obviously it should be, but do you really want to brawl? You haven't got Harrison anymore. They've drawn the Harrison out. And, like, this is pretty dangerous. Because the Spike Witch Steed survives the brawl. That's a 2/6 before you start. You can put a Blessing of Kings on it. That's 4 more. That's 6. You've got an Ashbringer. That's 11. And your opponent's on 8 plus whatever taunt they get in the way. Depending, obviously, exactly what wins the brawl, but assuming that it's not Tyrion and assuming that it's not Hydrologist.
I wonder.
So what's the consideration for Handsome Guy now? He's just saying, do I need to put 2 points of damage in?
Well, also, do I want to get rid of these 1/1s so I've got a better brawl chance? Do I want to win the brawl with these 1/1s? I probably don't. So, also, like if there's a Ravaging Ghoul, which is just come off the top, actually happens, I lose a Divine Shield and 3 minions. So did I need to put those 2 minions in? But he decided he doesn't gain anything by doing it because this Stonehill just bumps into one of these 2 big things anyway. And dies. Brutally.
So Mitsuhide could just put a Tar Lord in the way. 11 points of health.
Bit scary.
It's a little bit. Alternatively, Ravaging Ghoul into Trager Stonehill Defender into the Hydrologist, maybe. Still not optimal. You could try and combine Sleep with the Fishes somehow, but...
And that's why this matchup's so difficult, because the Brawl is not quite good enough.
And suddenly you've run out of time as well.
Yeah.
Decision has to be made. The Netherlands back up to 10, just doing what they can to clear away this board. The Blessing of Kings is somewhat awkward. There is no easy trade into this Armorsmith. The easiest would be Blessing into Tyrion, trade off the Armorsmith, and then probably trade into Harrison with your 2/1.
Yep, seems good. And spam the board.
You could, of course, opt not to spam the board.
Right, and do nothing at all and just make Brawl a 50-50 and keep a 10-10. That was an interesting option for sure. Oh, Drake holds the fort a little longer.
And there's nothing they can get through the Drake.
I keep feeling they've stabilised, but there's just more stuff still to come from South Korea.
Yeah, there's still another Tyrion. Here's a 10-8 on the board. Brawl, just too risky. You've got Sleep with the Fishes. Now, I like this. Just putting the Drake, putting a wall in the way. Yep, combined with Sleep with the Fishes. Okay. General Megazord can only work in conjunction with just the 1 Murloc, but that is a 4/8 that Ashbringer is struggling to get through, and maybe we're starting to get close to the finish line now for Netherlands.
Looking like next turn they can start setting up a wall of taunts, maybe drop the Sulfuris, maybe wait 1 more turn, maybe choose to get 2 more armor and drop the Sulfuris but not have a shot. But it does look like they're just actually stabilizing rather than looking like it now. Still on 12, that's probably enough. They
Should
need a
be.
plan for the
Yeah.
second Tyrion, which is, I think Tarlord just deals with the second Tyrion well enough.
I think their hope is we win this game before the second Tyrion comes out, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, they win it pretty quick from here if they want to.
Yeah, it looks like Netherlands have managed to take this one. It was a scrappy fight, pretty back and forth. Could have gone very differently. Those dirty rats really playing a big part into it.
Yeah, they got both of them went their way, getting the Deathwing the first one and then just dodging the Tyrion on the second one. And yeah, looking like for all the world it's going to go to 2-1 as that Murloc has just been turned into plants.
That's 8 damage that they really would have liked to go elsewhere, though.
That's why when you hit a Murloc too hard, it just becomes plant life.
But still a lot in the way of Handsome Guy even be able to push any damage through. Stone Defender does
Tyrion
add a
number
little bit
3,
of
could it
value.
be?
Is another Tyrion too slow?
Oh, Tarim might be alright. And a Rathian might not be too bad.
So Tarim allows him to deal with this board immediately.
Yeah. And gives him a
Whilst
chance
putting
of
a
getting through.
3-7 on the board.
Rathian gives a little bit more sustain. I think the Tarim seems correct.
So you Tarim, and then your opponent now can't gain any more armor. If the hero power goes face, your opponent may be forced to tank 3 damage and then execute. That puts him down to 8.
Have we seen a Primordial Drake yet from Handsome Guy? Just wondering if he's working out that there's only 9 cards left, and at least 1 Primordial Drake likely in there. There's actually some implied value from this Rathian getting 2 cards, which might be enough to turn the game if they think they're really behind. Tarim seems the obvious choice, but if they don't think Tarim gets there, maybe they just go for the Rathian and try to get the good roll.
I wish I could hide the board, so I can see the board. I'm fairly certain Tarim just allows them to deal with the board.
Yeah, goes for Rathian. Into Tarim!
Tarim into
They only had
Tarim.
9 cards left, one of which was Tarim as well. So with the Primordial Drake possibilities, presumably there's at least 1 in here, with the Tarim as well. I guess that makes sense. Maybe they just felt it wasn't enough, even though it nearly gets through, maybe they just felt it never actually does it. They know there's still at least 1 taunt in hand from a Stonehill as well.
May need to brawl here. Netherlands.
May need to.
Just as every time I think this game's over, it's just one little factor that changes.
Yeah, Paladin versus Warrior just goes on because the Warrior looks to stabilise, and I was really careful not to say it the first time I thought they'd stabilise. I said it like the 4th time, and I still might have gone a little bit early.
They did stabilise. However, the decision from Mitsuhide was to pull the trigger, get the hero power on the go, and try and win the game.
Yeah, winning the game a big part of Hearthstone Global Games, oddly enough.
Funny that. Can South Korea get lucky? I mean, at least they won something.
8 to face, though,
Yeah.
coming in.
8
Execution
to
you're going to
face.
get from Sulfurus. And then now you've got Warax, you've got Execute, you've got Tarlord. And you're going to eat 5, but...
Well, you probably kill off the Acolyte and then play Tarim. I think.
I guess you have to, don't you? Yeah, you can't get there the other way.
I mean, alternatively, you could just go face, play Tarim, and say, all right, well, Acolyte is going to run into my Tarim, and then...
And then they're not going to have any way of dealing with my little 3/3 dude.
Yeah. That's the gamble you can take.
They've got to work out their outs, and there aren't many either way, that's for sure. I think you have to kill the Acolyte and make a 3/3 minion. And then next time you actually not got lethal at all or anything like it. I was getting excited there for a minute.
I mean, you could just throw that 5 to face, take them down to 5. You play Sunkeeper Tarim. You say, if you haven't got an answer for the 3/7, then I've got 6 damage next turn. So for South Korea, there's still a chance in their eyes. The Execute and the Fiery War Axe, well, the Execute and the Tarlord, sorry, however, yeah, that's game over. Execute, War Axe, and Hero Power.
2-1. Korea still have the advantage, of course. And they're going to get to game 4. It's going to be Netherlands on Paladin or Hunter. versus Korea on Hunter or Druid. We could get another Hunter mirror match.
Hunter mirror match, yeah, we've seen one today. Is that Theo that's going to be playing the next game?
I believe it is. Let me
Funny, I
check my
know
piece
that
of paper.
because he played Paladin and Hunter last week.
So it's just exactly the same lineup as last week.
And this is what Southe was saying when I spoke to him as well from Norway. He said it seems like teams have kind of got their strategy down now.
Right.
And yes, you can try and predict them, but people are just bringing what they're good at. And if you start trying to predict and you bring stuff that you're not good at, you might just lose a match.
Yeah, I think we do, as a group collectively of casters, we do undersell that this is a game of skill. Like, we try to make it point clear, and then we go, oh, but this matchup's 60-40. Well, it's only 60-40 if played by two people of equal skill. If you play something you're bad at in a 60-40 matchup, and you play something that they're good at, you can bring your 60-40 down to a 50-50. So let's have a look what they've chosen for.
Yeah, it's going to be Theo versus Flurry, and it's going to be the Paladin versus the Druid. So, Druid typically can do very well against the Paladin, but we have seen Paladin do well if it is the Jade Druid, if it is the Control Paladin. However, there is a possibility this could be Aggro Druid. There's a possibility this could be Aggro Murloc Paladin.
I feel like it's more likely to be Jade Druid just because it's paired with a Hunter. I don't think that's by any means certain because Hunter's kind of awkward in what it's good at beating, what it's bad against, but if I had to pick a way aside for it, I'd say this is more likely to be Jade to give you that versatility.
Do you think people would ever, though, bring two decks that are similar to try and suggest, like, oh, you think we're going to bring Jade Druid because I've paired it with this, but actually I'm going to pick Aggro Druid because you think I'm going to pick...
Well, I mean, Korea kind of did it with that warrior.
Yeah.
They kind of made it look like, hang on, you just play Priest here. And we just go, we're going to play Silly Warrior.
Like the Southe Warrior.
So they kind of did that earlier.
That was a little bit different because that wasn't just bringing another deck that counts as another deck. That was just bringing something completely, well, I say completely unknown.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are people that know it, but a deck that really
Unusual.
surprised the opponent.
Sure.
We could see the surprise from the Netherlands. Like, Tyler was clearly bamboozled by
I
it.
don't think you need to bring the two the same. So like, let's say Pirate Warrior and Aggro Druid. I don't think you need to do that because you can just pick the aggressive one anyway. They never get to see the second one, so you just surprise them by going, ha-ha, Pirates.
Aha!
Aha.
I'm enjoying. I thought that was where you're going to go, but...
Yeah, I can't do ours.
Oh.
It's like, whoa, it'd be like the worst pirate ever. It just sound like a drowning pirate. It'd be awful.
What do you do when you're sad? Like, oh.
When I'm sad, have you met me?
You are, yeah. You're just a bundle of joy, Lorinda.
Bundle of sad.
Well, Netherlands are trying to scrape back into this series. South Korea still have the chance to, well, put themselves in a very good position for the group. Whoever wins this game will be 2-0.
Right.
Whoever loses, 1-1. And then you're down with the other guys. You're down with Argentina and the Philippines, who both took a 3-1 loss. So both of these teams won 3-1 last week. They both looked good. However, Netherlands doesn't look like they've changed their strategy, and maybe Korea have clocked onto that a little bit.
Yeah, it's possible, and we'll definitely get to find out in a moment. Well, we won't definitely get to find out anything. We'll have a good chance of finding out when we see what this Druid is. And, I mean, I'm expecting it to be Jade normally. Maybe if they clocked onto it, maybe it's aggro, and they just push.
What if? This is South Korea we're talking about.
Oh, no.
What if we see...
No, don't say those two letters.
What if we see Big Druid?
Easy win.
Maybe we'll see Big Druid. It's certainly a thing. It's a possibility, but it is. We're going to find out as we're about to jump into the game. It does seem like the players are ready. So game number 4 is underway, and I'm personally really excited for this one, so let's get it started.
All right, so it is the aggro Druid, and it is the very slow Paladin.
Has me a little bit concerned for Theo.
He does have Doomsayer in an opening hand, though.
Yep.
And I think you keep it because you don't know what you're against.
You've got Doomsayer, you've got Consecration as well, which can be pretty good against aggro. Can be very good against Living Mana later on.
But of course you don't know you're against aggro, and this was paired with Hunter, so there will be a pretty difficult read on what this Druid is going to be. Fairly close to 50-50, I feel. Yeah, they've split the difference. Keep the Doomsayer, but got rid of the Consecration. I think that's a good idea.
And Fate will have them get that Consecration back again anyway.
And the True Silver. Why not? This looks really good so far for the Netherlands.
The way they lose this game, though, is if the Living Mana comes out and they've got no way to deal with it. That's when it becomes a struggle. But
yeah.
Double Consecration.
They might have ways of dealing with it.
Yeah.
I mean, so turn 2, Doomsayer. Turn 3, they might not even have to use their coin. If they do, it's for a True Silver. It will get Corsaired. bit of an issue, but
So is there a consideration for coining into Doomsayer here?
there really is. You've got to play Doomsayer on the latest turn that it will survive. So let's say you pass here and Druid just plays a minion, just plays a 2/3, a bad crab. The turn after, your Doomsayer just dies to Savage Roars, it dies to Mark of the Lotus hero power. You kind of have to play it, if you're going to play it to actually kill things, you kind of have to coin it out. But then next turn, the coin is then not available for your consecrations, your true silver, and you're pressing your hero power button, and the Druid's getting control of the board anyway. So it's a really tough call here, and it may just be too slow.
Move quickly.
Yeah, deciding to pass it up, and it's kind of what I was saying now. Galactic Crawler actually just puts a huge amount of pressure on the Doomsayer.
It does, but not enough from what we can see.
From what we can see, it's fine, and the Netherlands will play that Doomsayer just to absorb 7 damage, if they have to get themselves into their consecration, into their true silver turns. That'll be the consideration they had, is like worst case, it eats 7, but they won't be expecting this Doomsayer to make it through the night.
Mark of Yasiraj would make quick work of it as well. Savage Roar can deal with it if Flurry does decide to.
I think you probably do. My instinct is you do. Otherwise, you don't just miss your turn. You don't just miss the damage, you miss your turn as well. And yeah, they're just going to go ahead and deal with this. That is a bit of a win for the Netherlands. Obviously not a total win as the minions are still there. But because they kept their coin, they're going to be able to get this true silver out. Get one swing with it, but then it's going to get eaten by pirates.
Yeah, I think you have to true silver. That'll be patches coming into play as well. And then Flurry can combine that with Tarkreeper, and then if you find something like a Mark of the Lotus, Power of the Wild, that's where this game can start to get interesting. No equality yet for Theo, which is going to be very important.
It is, but he's got the Pyromancer, he's got double Consecration, Curator, Drake. Like, double Drake deals with a lot of stuff. You Drake, you sort of injure a lot of stuff, kill off 1 or 2 others, and then you Drake the next turn and finish it all off. Tends to be a thing. Depends exactly how heavy this Druid is as well. It might, if it's got a Hydra on 5, for instance, which most of them do now, Living Mana, which most of them do now, then that's difficult for this Paladin to deal with.
Actually, this Consecration might work out well for Flurry. Might work out well for Theo, sorry, because Consecration, and then Flurry would naturally feel like he wants to play Living Mana after a Consecration, and then Theo could just play it again.
Play it again, Theo. Yeah, it's looking like that works nicely. Yep. And now I think Korea going for the Living Mana immediately there. No reason not to. You're going to get 5 2/2s, which will be nice, because he's got 5 mana crystals. That's how the card works.
I'm glad you remembered that now. I'm proud of you.
And now Theo's just got the option to do it all again.
Does it all again, which shuts down Flurry immediately. Another Living Mana would change things.
Yeah, in the way that it would be unfair.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's only got 1 turn to do it as well, because Curator into Drake's happening. And it's looking like we're going to go to a Game 5 in this massive match. Obviously, the winners of this almost certainly through. I know you know all the stuff. You'll tell us tomorrow exactly how that pans out, I'm sure. But still a huge match. Winning this, it basically puts you through. Losing it puts you in trouble. Group C, one of the tougher ones, of course. But look at that for all these groups.
Yeah, they're all really
They're just all really tough now. There's very few surprise teams got through. And even the surprise teams that got through are like Israel, who they're surprised because we got it wrong, not because they're bad. So I don't think there's any bad teams got through at all.
Peacekeeper can stem a little bit of damage here as well. Peacekeeper onto the Panther, which make it into a 1/4.
Yep.
He's done it indeed.
What do you take here? I think you just play the Redemption for, you don't play it, you just take it for future. So something big will come back later. Something big being Tyrion is usually...
Tyrion's usually handy. He does seem to arrive.
I just gotta go for it. All right. Just making sure they keep board presence.
That will be a welcome sign to Flurry, though. He will say, okay, that's one Peacekeeper, I can actually play my Hydra, but
Yeah.
he needs to start looking for secrets first. He needs to play around what he can. He doesn't want a Repentance to go into this Hydra.
Obviously, so every time, but the downside of playing this deck is if you do go deep into the game, at some point you're going to draw that Innovate, which is a bit awkward to say the least.
Interesting he tested for Repentance before he tested for either Redemption or Kodo.
Yeah, it's just...
It's a bit of a risk.
such a... yeah.
That is going to be 8 damage that's going to start to hit the face, potentially. I mean,
Yeah.
Curator will, of course, absorb some of that, or a Spike-Rich Steed will probably do even better.
Yeah, the fact it does it twice is just so ridiculous when you're playing the aggro deck. You just so want to get through it.
So if you Curator, you would guarantee yourself a Drake, but you've already got one anyway. You can pick up a Kodo. You've already used your Aldor Peacekeeper. Steed means there's 2 taunts that you have to get through. So if there is some way, some buff, then maybe Steed is better against the likes of a second Savage Roar.
Indeed. That's about my thoughts on the matter here.
Because if there is a second Savage Roar and you just play Curator, it does mean that there is going to be 8 damage going to your face. If not 10.
I think because you've got Rag in hand, what you're trying to do as well is just not end up with any injured minions. Getting that Kodo, but not getting the follow the rules to go with it. No, it's not the right time for that minion right now. The fledgling.
Silly pink bird. What are you doing here?
Just the wrong time entirely.
We saw an aggro druid game earlier just end in tears because of turn 1 Innovate fledgling.
This is so brutal. Like, Ungoro is a terrifying place indeed sometimes. We were warned, in fairness. Oops.
That's an equality.
That's
I don't think
an
you need
equality.
to play it though.
So you can equality, and then Pyromancer, and then Hydrologist, and play the secret. And you have some stuff on the board, and all this stuff's dead, and you've got 20 health.
Yeah, this is looking pretty
Actually,
good
you
for
equality, and then Pyromancer, and then Steed.
If you had 10 mana, you would.
Oh, you've only got 8 mana. This game's only on turn 8.
I know.
Druid does that to me every time, I swear. I just feel like it's on turn, like, 14. Like, earlier when it was turn 3 when they just won the game. I'm like, oh, they've only got 3 mana.
Yeah, it's absolutely unreal. And that's why people do play aggro druid, because you do have that chance to just outright win the game from turn 1.
Right. I mean, it is a stats-based game, as the meme goes, and the stats say that sometimes you just, whatever the percentage is, you just win immediately.
And even if there's another living mana now for South Korea, the fact there's a Primordial Drake to deal with it means this is looking pretty dire.
And we can see how dire it is. Like,
Yeah.
from where Theo's sat, he's just being a bit careful. From where we're sat, innovate. That's what I say.
And we've laughed a lot today.
And now we're going to laugh some more. In fairness, we've laughed at everybody. Flurry not even, like, showing the salt, the double innovate in hand. And it's 2 games all, and we're going to go to the ace match, the final match of the day. What a way to finish.
What a way to finish indeed. And I believe it's going to be Tice and Kranich coming back into play again. They played the first game.
Right.
And now they're going to be playing the ace match.
So-
What choices do they have, Neil?
Yeah, so Korea have their Shaman and their Warlock. And the Netherlands have their Shaman and their Warlock.
All right, so we've got Shaman Mirror on the go.
I think we're going to
so?
see a Shaman Mirror.
Well, let's have a look. It is going to be a Shaman Mirror, Tice versus Kranich. What a way to finish the series. A Shaman Mirror can sometimes be a very quick one, often ended with something like a Bloodlust, but sometimes ended with just Doppelgangster into Evolve. We've seen it in the Mirror as well. People just run out of value, run out of cards, and then it becomes a game of top decks.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting match, actually. If you're playing, assuming it is an Evolve Mirror or a Token Mirror, the first 2 turns are genuine rope turns a lot of the time. Have to factor in your opponent's mulligan a lot. If they've not mulligan any cards, and you're pretty sure they're playing Token, you've just got to be so careful to play around that 1-drop into Flame Tongue, because they're just going to destroy all your Naught 3s. If they mulligan a lot of cards, sometimes you've got to shut your eyes as the second player and just go for it. It's like, let's hope they didn't draw their Flame Tongue. And if they haven't, you can get into the game that way. If the game stabilizes, if nobody gets the early lead, then it is about that Doppelgangster evolve. But sometimes you want to evolve early if you've got a board, just to have a board of 3 drops or 4 drops. And so assuming that it is a Token Shaman Mirror, I expect to see the first 2 or 3 turns taking the rope all the way.
Yeah, evolving early on is certainly key in this matchup. It can really help you win. We have seen in mirror matchups people mulligan for a defensive option, like we've seen them keep double Maelstrom Portal, for example, but then they're not being an overwhelming start from their opposition, so they just end up losing to value-based minions. And there is that Sea Giant. It's also been included, we saw it included at Seat Story in Mitsuhide's winning Evolve Shaman, so that makes sense. His teammate Tice now using it as well.
Kranich's choice here is, do I keep the Primal Fin? If I do, I need a 1-drop to go with it, but if I go for all 3 and don't have the Primal Fin, I'm in trouble. Tyze's options are huge. The downside of Tyze's hand is not having that Flame Tongue, but the rest of the hand is basically perfect. Obviously, the Sea Giant, a tech card you really want. South Korea in a real spot. Whatever Tyze does here, he will keep the Firefly. It's likely he'll keep the Jade Claws. He'll almost certainly keep the Primal Fin, but going second is a nightmare in this matchup. However, he's seen, well, he hasn't seen now, but he will see in a minute, the good news for him, that Kranich mulliganed all 3 of his cards.
And he's got a Sea Giant as well. He has kept it. Now, the Sea Giant is usually in place of that second evolve, so you might be thinking, oh, you're at a disadvantage. But the fact you can chuck a Sea Giant on the board, a Sea Giant that when devolved turns into a 9-mana minion, that's scary.
Right, and this match, I just want to stress, I just want to really emphasise how much this is about reading the opponent's mulligans. He knows that Kranich mulliganed 3. They can maths it from here, and they realise that even going second, they should be safe to put out the Primal Fin Totem. It's not going to die anytime soon to a Flame Tongue a lot of the time. And it's not even that important anyway. Yeah, here's the patches. Kranich just not having a fun day at the office. Now, Kranich has the opposite problem. Tyze kept all 4 cards. Kranich knows that Tyze has a 2-drop. It's likely that is a Flame Tongue in that hand. Because Tyze has kept a 2-drop. He's also kept the other 3 cards. Well, what are they? If you play out your Primal Fin now, and Tyze has a Flame Tongue, and he's kept all 4 cards, your board gets destroyed. But I don't think Kranich has any other choice. So he's just got to hope it works out well. And although there is no Flame Tongue, there is a Jade Claws, and things aren't going to work out too well for him.
They're certainly not, and Tice is going to start to run away with this, and the board is going to start to build up on both sides, and then that Sea Giant is going to come into play. Of course, the Sea Giant can't be evolved. There is no 11-mana minion, so it just stays as a Sea Giant no matter what you evolve.
And it doesn't heal.
Doesn't regain health or anything,
right.
It just stays what it is. But as I said, it can be devolved from your opponent, but then it turns into a 9-drop, and you've got some pretty ugly 9-drops. Malagos, Alexstrasza is not something that you want to be going for.
All right, so there is a plan for South Korea. They can wait till next turn and devolve Portal if they want. They're just going to clear now, though. Sure, don't blame them. Save that devolve, get the board for what they can. They're going to get counter-portaled. And nobody's drawn the key cards. Nobody's drawn... Oh, there's the evolve. Nobody's drawn Doppelgangster Evolve or Flame Tongue. And the difference maker at this point that I started to speak was the Sea Giant, which is a tech card for the mirror.
The pieces start to be drawn both sides, but on the wrong sides. And
how do you mean in the wrong sides? Which side should they be drawn on? Like Belgium and like
Doppelgangster has been drawn on one side of the board and Evolve's on the other side of the board.
alternate sides.
Alternate sides, indeed. But I guess the wrong sides as well.
Like
the wrong side. Soft side.
I'll talk to you later.
You could. That sounds firm. Sounds interesting.
So lots of things sound interesting to you.
That's true. I like the fact they've played the Stonehill Defender because the Manatite Totem just dies. Yes, okay, it gets card draw, but Stonehill Defender survives.
The question here is always, what do we do about this Earth Elemental pick? The Overload is so punishing, but they can't really get punished by playing it, and it will stodge it up while they try and draw that Evolve.
It's punishing, but look at the rest of their hand. It's like, okay, we can probably afford to be skipping somewhat of a turn.
Does Earth Elemental do that much more damage than Fen Creeper in terms of what it's going to do, which is kill things? Fen Creeper kills nearly everything in the opposing deck, forgetting about the Sea Giant.
I don't think you mind about the overload, because yes, you can overload for 3, but then you can just play Mana Tide Totem behind it anyway.
Sure.
You're only really missing out on 1 roll of your hero power, which I don't think is that significant. J-Lightning off the top is perfect to deal with this Stonehill Defender.
Tell that to Thing from Below when it turns up and costs 6.
Well, yeah, that's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because Mana Tide Totem will make it cost 5, but you know.
Stop
But I know what you meant.
being correct and
You meant
stuff.
4. Sorry, I'm usually wrong. Is this a waste of Jade Lightning onto the Stonehill Defender? And are you worried about Evolve? I'm
You've
always
seen
worried
one
about it.
portal. I feel that you've got so many choices here again. You don't really want to evolve 3 little things at this point, I don't think. I think you probably just roll and play Firefly and play the Elemental and try and go wide so you get your Sea Giant developed. No. Tyze wants an empty board. He wants to make sure the steamroll happens. He wants to make sure that if he draws a Flame Tongue, he's got things to use it on.
I think the fact that the J column is 2/2 as well, that really helps. But now we're going to see the Earth Elemental. Or will we? Bloodsail Corsair. It's tempting, but I think the Earth Elemental is just too good as a turn 5.
So, of course, they drew patches, didn't they? They actually just decided to draw it. Otherwise, Bloodsail Corsair could actually make way for the Mana Tide. But that's not how numbers work, so it can't. Oh, this is tempting now, surely. Like 1-drop, hero power, evolve. Up against a 7/8. But it sets up a Bloodlust for next turn with some fairly decent minions.
Yeah, because even if your opposition does devolve, you've seen 1 Maelstrom portal.
And you very rarely need to Doppelgangster evolve twice. Kind of, if you do it, you tend to. I've seen it in the mirror. You can go that deep. But I feel they're just going to make stuff happen here. See where they end up and set up the Bloodlust.
I mean,
Here's some taunt minions.
A really good roll. I mean, unfortunately, the devolve is gonna shut all this down.
Like 2-drops tend to be bad, and they've got a 1/3, as you can see, a 4/3, a 2/6, a 3/2, and that card you've mentioned before didn't turn up.
Doomsayer.
That Doomsayer card. Well, Hungry Crab is a beast, so I think the Scavenging Hyena probably needs to die, but Healing Totem looks like a good roll about now. Tell you that.
There is still the possibility here of Bloodlusting if they would like to. Or they could just get that Sea Giant on the board.
Huh. Pros and cons to each. Obviously, the Bloodlust makes way for the Sea Giant for later, but then you just kill off all the minions, and the Sea Giant costs a load more. But the Sea Giant's currently just being threatened by the Earth Elemental. And so yeah, they are going to go for the Bloodlust. Tyze has just gone for board the entire game, which is, of course, the fundamental strategy of this. They're going to be able to keep the Light Wardens alive, and that could be potentially massive, because one of these minions is going to be injured. And the Healing Totem's a card that you can roll.
It is, and no way of dealing with anything at the moment from South Korea as well. So Ty's in a really good spot using that Bloodlust. Aya's not going to help except just gain a little bit of board presence.
Korea do have a plan, though. It's don't die, draw, evolve.
Yep.
It's not the most complicated plan or the most difficult plan, but it's certainly a plan that will help them win this game. And Aya's going to be a menace to society. There's the Bloodlust in hand, which will help them clear with the Sea Giant at some point. The Mana Tide might, at some point, help them draw a card or two, or even if it's just cycles. This one's not over, by any stretch.
Definitely not over just yet. There's another Bloodlust, which
That's
doesn't
a lot.
quite finish it off. That is 16 damage, though.
So the correct play here, I think, is to roll Healing Totem, trade into the 1/1, play Sea Giant. And the question is, do you want to evolve? Now, it's a much trickier question this time around. I think the answer is no. But it is a much trickier question this time because you are never going to Doppelgangster evolve again if you do it. But your Doppelgangsters still have synergy with going wide and Bloodlust. Oh. That was a bit quick.
Well, it doesn't matter either way.
It doesn't, but it's...
But I know what you mean, yeah. You can still play the Sea Giant, and if you wanted to play Evolve first or afterwards, it doesn't matter either way. I don't see why you wouldn't put the Sea Giant on the board. It's 100% just going down, surely. I mean, it doesn't matter if you evolve first or evolve
Yeah,
afterwards.
just dodging axes.
Actually, it might be better if you do evolve first, because if you evolve afterwards,
get bad things.
I don't know.
Yeah, evolve first. Don't get Doomsayer. Move on with your life. Actually, yeah, good call.
Yeah.
Actually, no reason to do that I can think. Oh, no. Were there any naught drops there from the devolve? There weren't, right? So there's no way of getting Emerald Hive nonsense. So yeah, it's just should have been the other way around.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd gone into Pyromancer, could that have killed off a minion?
Possibly,
and then
yeah. Then you can't play the Sea Giant, sure. Okay.
So there are reasons for both ways. Either way, they're very slim risks.
And either way, that 1 point of mana would have been a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't. It just wouldn't.
And now, I mean, this is just game over.
Let's see if there's any way out of it at all.
South Korea can trade into one of the minions.
And remember, they've seen a Bloodlust, so they won't feel the need to play around it if they can't see a win that way.
It'd still be 15 damage on board if they take away the 3-2. That is also potentially 16 as well, because it could go face from the hero power. You then try and roll a taunt, but that taunt is not going to be able to stop Bloodlust. So, actually, Neil, the only way for South Korea, really for them to stay alive, is potentially to Bloodlust themselves and take out this Sea Giant. However, they are just still dead.
The only way to survive is to be dead.
Well, to survive in their eyes, Bloodlust will finish it off. And Netherlands, from 2-0 down, after a crazy mammoth series, are going to be able to turn this around and go 2-0 in Group C, and almost or all but secure themselves into the last 16. And Tice very happy about that one.
I'm not surprised. That was insane. He just managed to keep the board the entire game, never deviated from the plan, which is the fundamental plan of Shaman versus Shaman, which is keep the board because of Flame Tongue totems. Nobody ever drew one, but the plan still held up.
Plans did hold up, and actually Tice took the initiative by using that evolve. It did get devolved in the end, but he'd already built up a board. And then he had Bloodlust to be able to just get rid of that annoying 7-8 taunt. Let's have a look and see what all of the classes that were played then. Let's see how that matchup finished itself off. What a turnaround.
Yeah, 2-0 lead there from Korea. It didn't finish 3-all, I promise. Theo did, in fact, beat Flurry, but 2-0 lead from Kranich and Dione. And then Mitsuhide, Theo, and Ties finishing off the job. The other way around, Warrior getting the job done at this time around.
And Tice will be very happy about that, especially after losing that initial first game. I mean, as the anchor, the captain of the team, right. you don't want to be losing games, do you?
You don't.
Right,
you really don't.
Let's have a chat with Theo then and see how he feels after that match. Theo, my good friend, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. An amazing series for you guys, coming back from 2-0 down. I guess the question I'm going to ask you is, how did you feel against that priest when Tyler was playing?
And our priest, yeah, we're like, okay, that's a pirate warrior. We had a really good start. We're like, oh yeah, this is looking good. And then we saw like, that Curious Glimmerroot, I think. We're like, wow.
When you Glimmerrooted in and you picked the Inner Rage, and then there was the Brawl. And I mean, it was an interesting warrior deck from South Korea, but in the end, it doesn't matter. So I guess you're the ones who are still laughing.
Yeah, indeed.
So you yourself, you played HCT playoffs before. You obviously win a lot of fireside gatherings, stuff like that. What's it like playing with these three massive names, though? Do you feel like you've got to sell yourself? Tell us about you.
Well, I'm a streamer also. I stream a lot every day, and I play a lot of local events, and also just the big events like DreamHack. Next week or 2 weeks there's Valencia, so I'll be going there too.
Yeah.
But yeah, the team we're like basically feel all like equals. Like everybody gets to say we trust everyone. That's it's working really well on the team.
Yeah, awesome. So everybody should watch you as well as the others. Just catch Theo up a bit, guys. Needs to watch him.
You also might like long walks on the beach and stuff like that. I didn't know how you were going to sell yourself, but I like it. DreamHack Valencia is something to look forward to. Moving forward in the global games, though, you're pretty much there. I mean, there is still some contentions of potential draws and tiebreakers, but you should be okay. How far do you think you can get in the global games as a team?
Well, I think we can get first. I think we're one of the best teams, and I think we just have to hope. Like, of course, there are lots of other good teams, but I don't think we're worse than any of the other teams. So as long as we keep playing good, I think we'll go far.
Yeah.
Is the communication conducive to that? Are you all playing well as a unit? Like, is there any miscommunications ever?
No, we're going through our turns every time and just taking our time, making sure like everybody agrees and sees the line and
Awesome.
just all agree.
Well, it certainly must have taken a lot of willpower to get through and pull that one back for a 3-2 victory. So congratulations again, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Really amazing performance from the Netherlands as well, and a
Yep.
humble interview from Theo. Just, it's nice that like he is given the chance to shine
Exactly, right.
because he is around these amazing players, and he's showing why he deserves to be there as well.
Yeah, there are teams where he would be easily the best player on the team and the big name. And he's on the Netherlands where he's just isn't currently. Again, that's why I wanted him to sell himself. I want people to follow Theo and catch him up to these other guys.
I'm also glad he was on the ball when I asked him the question about a priest, because I completely misworded that.
That's fine, I misworded mine as well. It's
Yeah,
good.
so I'm glad that he knew what I was on about. It was definitely a memorable game, and it will be something that Tyler will be probably having nightmares about tonight.
It's a bit awkward today because I like to say to people at the end of the day, hey, watch this game, this one, because it was really good. There were too many today. I don't want to say, hey, watch 9 hours of footage before you go to bed. But today was a pretty good day's play all around.
Yeah, I think my highlight was probably the priest against Norway and also that warrior against Tyler there. And I thought South Korea were absolutely going to wipe this series 3-0.
Right,
I thought they were looking in great position.
Look at the health totals here. They got a big wide board. The opponent's on 9. Still fewer, still another turn to go. And one of the decisions was to Harrison early.
And it was the dirty rat into the death wing.
And then it dodged. The next dirty rat dodged Tyrion.
Yeah. And
But it may still have been
unfortunately-
okay if they could have possibly
Maybe?
wingled it away.
Wingled.
It's like wangled, but
That's
The other-
a great word. I'm definitely going to put that one in my memory books. But overall, a solid day. And we'll take a look at the table in a minute as well and see how that positions both Netherlands and South Korea. They'll certainly be taking a look at how Argentina and Philippines get on when they play tomorrow. But we're looking at China potentially through, and now
Yep.
we're looking at Netherlands potentially through as well. Is this what we expected, do you think, from today's game?
I mean, you've just named 2 of the best teams in the world, so that's a start. But Norway looking a bit dodgy and Belgium looking a bit dodgy. That's definitely not what we expected.
No, definitely not. I mean, they still have a chance, though. That's the good thing. I mean, I've not looked actually at the Belgium implications of their group. I was more focused on Norway's, and Norway do still have that option of a 3-way tie for that second place. So not just qualifying as a third best, but even potentially qualifying in second place, depending on how tiebreakers go down. It's certainly going to be difficult for them to do so, but they still have something to cling on to.
Yeah, just to point out that the top 2 from each group go through. 2 wins is usually enough for that, not always. But the 4 best third-place finishers out of 6 also go through, which means that 1 win, as long as you don't get demolished 3-0 twice, like Hungary did, which is just a bad position to be in, could get you through. If you like lose 3-2 a couple of times, then win 3-0, you might be all right.
Let's see how Group C looks then after that final result of the day. Netherlands sitting pretty 2-0, South Korea 1-1, Argentina 0-1, and Philippines are 0-1. Now, similarly to what I was saying earlier, if Philippines win tomorrow, Netherlands are guaranteed to be through. So they'll be rooting for them at home.
That will be a good match tomorrow. But let's have a look at what happened today one more time.
Yeah, Hungary took down, they lost actually, sorry, to Taiwan 3-0. China beat Malaysia 3-2. Norway lost to Singapore 3-1. Belgium surprisingly losing 3-2 to Israel. And then we just saw that absolutely mammoth of a game. Netherlands coming back from 2-0 down to win 3-2. What was your favourite game of the day, though?
I think I've got to vote that we stop saying Israel have surprised people. I think at this point, they've done it too often for it to be a surprise anymore. They just beat people because they're good.
Yeah, they certainly are. They've shown what they're made of.
I'm as guilty of it as anybody else, but yeah, just picking you up. You said it there. I know. I've said it all tournament. I think at some point we've just got to watch out because they're going to get upset with us.
I don't know if it was the surprise that Israel were good. I think it was more the surprise that Belgium are losing. Sure. I think that's where we're going for. But let's have a look at what matches we'll see on tomorrow's stream. Then we're going to have Australia versus Greece, Peru versus Ukraine, Bulgaria, Canada, Italy versus Mexico, and Czech Republic versus United States. We'll get to see the USA in action once again. A little bit of home pride for me there.
That famous American Dan Gaskin, who basically week 1
Week
the
one, what?
UK lost to America, and then you went and just married an American to just get it over with. You just bailed instantly.
Yeah, and that's what you got to do. Exactly. You just got to jump on whichever bandwagon is performing well, and then just support them. Although I've been supporting Norway, and Norway didn't actually.
Bandwagon leap back to America. I noticed the old USA chants coming in there. But yeah, tomorrow looks like it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, tomorrow is going to be a good one, so make sure you tune in tomorrow afternoon. From myself, from Lorinda, Falcone, and from all the production team as well. Have a lovely night. We'll see you tomorrow.